We've all seen people walking around with brightly colored hair, or seeing your friend go from brunette to blonde seemingly overnight. But how does it actually work? It turns out there's actually a lot of chemistry that goes into altering your hair color. In this video, I'll walk you through the molecular makeup of hair and the chemistry behind what hair dye is and why it works. At the end, we'll finish this all up with a live demonstration of someone actually dyeing their hair. The first thing to understand is the structure of your hair, because while it looks like a microscopic thread, there's actually multiple layers within that strand. The cuticle is the first layer in a hair strand, which, like roof shingles, is composed of tiny overlapping scales. The purpose of the cuticle is to shield your hair's interior, but it affects more than only defense. It also has a significant impact on the way your hair feels and looks. Your hair seems glossy and silky when the cuticle is in good condition and the scales are flat. In order for the hair color to take effect, it must penetrate this barrier of defense. The next layer of your hair is the cortex. When you dye your hair, this is where the action takes place. The natural pigments that give your hair its color are all found in the cortex, which is tucked away just behind the cuticle. We refer to these pigments as melanin. The cortex is what absorbs new color when you apply hair dye, altering the appearance of your hair. How vivid and long-lasting your dye job is going to be greatly depends on the state of the cortex. My friend Elaina here is going to explain the different types of hair dye and how they work.
There are many different types of hair dye that each affect different parts of your hair. Temporary hair dye, for example, is good for short time periods, one-day events, weekend getaways. If your gray is showing and you need a little touch-up, this type of hair dye will only last for about 1 to 2 washes. One step up from temporary hair dye is semi-permanent. This type usually lasts quite a bit longer than temporary by penetrating further into the cuticle and starting to actually affect the cortex, but it still washes away after about a week or 2. It's good for trying out new colors for a longer period of time, but if you have commitment issues, lucky you, it still washes away.
Now we're going to get into the more serious hair dye, the type that more permanently affects the hair's molecular structure. This is, of course, permanent hair dye. Permanent hair dye infiltrates all the way into the center of the cortex and irrevocably alters the existing melanin within your hair. It does this by using a chemical called paraphenylenediamine, which produces brown shades when oxidized. To activate it, the most common chemical used is hydrogen peroxide because it's a strong oxidizing agent and can remove some of the conjugated double bonds that lead to their color, therefore making the molecules colorless. Of course, if you aren't just dyeing your hair a dark brown shade, other compounds are also added into the hair dye mixture. Elaina here is going to show us how she colors her hair and elaborate further on color theory and bleaching. But first, here's a 10-second color montage. So, Elaina, why don't you tell the viewers what the heck we just did to your hair?
Well, basically, we used semi-permanent dye to color my hair purple. Previously, I've had my hair permanently dyed and bleached, but because we aren't certified hairdressers, we just used semi-permanent. But why did my hair do this? Before I decided to bleach my hair, it was already on the lighter side, meaning I didn't have to bleach it to get a better result. When I bleached my hair, it removed all my existing pigment, basically giving the hairdresser and the dye a blank canvas. This allowed the color to replace the melanin inside the cortex of my hair, and allowing it to show up as vibrant and last as long as it did.
Thanks for watching our chemistry project.
And yes, I actually dyed my hair.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Don't eat hair dye.